Hey guys, what's good? Well, as you see, my camera again is not working. Dude, my aftermarket camera, I plug it in, I still can't get it to work. Anyhow, as you see, the Fat Electrician is on the screen. It's called How to Become an Electrician, and trade school is a scam. And me being an electrician myself, what happened with my situation, real quick overview, is I had a kid on the way. I dropped out of high school already. Well, I went and got my GED. It only took me a day at that time. And then I went to a community college. But what I did was, it was more or less a 5 month. I got my electrician's diploma. And half the time we were in school, half the time we were at the job that we got through the school, because they had a bunch of companies that gave us the opportunity to try to get hired on with them. And I picked the company, and I was doing industrial electrical work for those months. And then when school ended, I still stayed at that company for another year or so, and then I went on about my business. And I've done electrical work ever since 1998.
When you just know it's going to upset a lot of people. Today we're talking about how to become an electrician and why any community college or tech school or trade school that tries to get you to go to their program for 2 years to get a certificate or a diploma so that you can become an electrician is more or less a scam.
What do you...
Exactly, and like I said, the one I went to was only 4 to 5 months. It basically, because I didn't know exactly what all I was stepping into. See, here's the thing. I wanted to go to school because I knew how to mess with amps and speakers. I wanted to learn about that stuff and possibly get some kind of job in that. But I figured an electrician, it'll get me in some kind of field that I like, because it was between that or electronics, and I went with electrical. But yeah, for a 2 year thing, that is, because I'm going to tell you now, I've seen a million people come out of school thinking they know everything, and what you learn in school, the paper side, is completely different to putting it to use. And there's so many codes in the code book. It is insane, the test they got to take.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
And just so we're clear, I am a journeyman electrician. I have been for the past 5 years. The 5 years before that, I was a helper and an apprentice, so I've been doing this for 10 years. Since starting this whole YouTube thing I got going on, I've gotten thousands of emails from high school kids that want to figure out how to become an electrician, and veterans that are leaving the military that want to transition over into the electrical field. And this is everything I tell them and everything I wish somebody told me when I was first trying to figure out how to become an electrician. Because if you get on the internet and Google how to become an electrician, it's very confusing. There's like 1,000 different answers. Most of them are wrong, and half of them are trying to sell you something that you need to pay thousands of dollars to get.
Exactly. I mean, dude, whenever I was wanting to get my license, my electrical license, this was back when COVID had hit. Well, my stepdad had, because you could only do online classes. Dude, there is so many math problems, so many different things. There's so many things that you need to learn, but without being able to physically talk to a teacher or whatever, it is, for me, it was hard to put it together on my own. I mean, yeah, I got the code book. It tells me this and this and this, but it doesn't tell you how do you get to that answer out of the equation it's telling you. And being an electrician is not hard. I've seen, when I worked at a place to where 95% of the guys that worked there had never even used a drill, much less done electrical work. And I seen about 5 of them that were actually, dedicated to it. They would study and they would get their hours in at that job, because that counted as doing electrical work towards the 8,000 hours you need to go get that test taken. Some of those guys failed. A couple of them started their own business after that. So it can be done. I'm just saying, for me, some of the things, it was hanging me up without a teacher.
to get that you don't actually need. And just so we're clear, I have no horse in this race, right? We're gonna play an ad here in a second. That's how I make my money. Once that ad plays, I've made all the money I'm gonna make off this video. Unlike most, if not all the other YouTube videos on this topic, I am not an instructor at a school that I'm trying to get you to go to. I don't have an online course that I've made to teach you how to do this job. I don't have anything to sell you. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. So let's play this ad so I can make my money, and then I'll tell you everything.
Nicholas,
Yes.
you've been so good this year. You should go buy yourself something nice.
These magic beans.
Yes.
Okay, what am I supposed to buy?
Something to
It's a
feed the whole
glove.
family.
You want me to go buy a grill for Father's Day with magic beans so I can cook you food?
Yes.
Fine.
6.5 hours later.
Careful. Careful.
Oh, good lord.
I don't give a shit.
What the hell
Atomic
is this?
bomb,
You told me to
baby.
get something for Father's Day.
Is this thing
That's
gonna cook any meat?
badass.
It'll cook something.
All right, here's the deal. Super simple, straightforward business model. You give them money, they turn around and make sure the data brokers on the internet aren't selling your personal information. What does that even mean? Okay, here's the entire internet and every free service on the planet inside of a nutshell. Okay, there's a saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. What that means is pretty much anything on the internet that you use, that's a service, whether that be Google, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of it. Okay,
No
it's
joke.
all an app. So one of two things is happening. They're either going to feed you ads, and that's how that
Yep.
company makes money since their service is free, or they're going to collect your personal information, then turn around and sell it to data brokers on the internet, and then they're going to turn around and sell it to whoever buys it. And next thing you know, you're getting 17,000 robocalls every single day. And that's where Delete Me comes in. They will look through all the major data brokers and find the ones that are selling your personal information and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and then they are legally obligated to comply. And then they'll continue to monitor these data brokers, and if they get your information again, Delete Me will submit an opt-out request again. Basically, you're paying Delete Me to get rid of all the downsides of all of the free stuff on the internet, which I think is absolutely worth it. If you want to check them out, I'll have a link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video. All right, here's the deal. When people say I want to be an electrician, what they're actually saying is I want to be a journeyman or a master electrician. The only way to do that is to graduate from an apprenticeship program and then take the state exam and pass it. At that
Yep.
point, you become a journeyman. Then, typically after you've worked as of 1 year for a journeyman, you are eligible to go and take another state exam that's harder to get your master's license. That's it. That's everything. Anything outside of that is unnecessary and probably a waste of money. There is no trade school or college program that you can go to for 2 years and get a diploma or
Exactly. You can't. You have to have the hours. They got to be able to look back at your old job, contact them, and they can verify that you've worked however many hours. It's 8,000 hours. But I'm saying if you've been at 3 different electrical places over the past 2-3 years, they got to be able to add those hours up to make the 8,000 before you're allowed to even attempt to take the test. Then you got a timed test, and you can only take it a certain amount of times before you have to wait and take it again.
a certificate and be qualified to take the state journeyman's exam. It's not allowed. This varies slightly from state to state, but I'm going to talk about the state of Iowa. It's very similar everywhere else. To graduate an apprenticeship program, you have to have 8,000 hours of on-the-job training, meaning you just have to go to work as an electrician's apprentice for 8.
And that's what I was saying about one of the jobs that I had, where almost, it had to be 95% of the people had never done any electrical work at all. They didn't know anything about color codes. They knew nothing about nothing. But since they worked there, every hour they put in there counts towards the 8,000 you need to be able to go take that state exam test.
8,000 hours, which is about 4 years of working 40 hours a week. In addition to that, you need 800 hours of classroom time, and you have to
Why did it freeze?
program, but typically it's either going to be night classes a couple nights a week for the 4 years, or in my particular case, my boss would just give us a week off and we would go to this school and we would have classes for 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and we did that 4 or 5 times a year.
Why
In
is
a
it locking
union
up?
apprenticeship, the union has their own schools, and if you're in a non-union apprenticeship, typically the state runs an apprenticeship program. Your contractor pays the state to be able to send you to the school. People argue and get in a big pissing match about which one's better. At the end of the day, they both get you the exact same journeyman's license.
Exactly.
But if you go to college first, you can get all the classroom stuff out of the way.
No, actually, I'm going to tell you from my personal experience, learning it in the classroom, yes, it was great. We did a couple of, hands-on things as far as hooking a light and a receptacle and a switch, different types of wiring diagrams. You got parallel, you got series, different stuff like that. But what helped me the most was working hands-on in the field, and the particular class I took, it put me in the field every other week. So a week I'd be in school, a week I would be at work, a week I'd be in school, and I would take what I learned in school and I would try it out in the field, and or I would take what I learned in the field and I would apply it to my test or whatever it is I was doing. So me personally, I always say hands-on experience is how I learn. Like, I can just read a piece of paper and I know it. No, I need to go do it, and then I know it. And if you mess up, great. Because if you mess up, guess what? When it comes time to do it again, you're going to remember that.
Almost always, no, that's not true. I think there's 2 or 3 states in the country where if you have a 2-year electrical diploma or certificate or whatever, you're allowed to not have to do the classroom portion of your apprenticeship, but you still have to do the 8,000 hours of work, meaning you're still going to be an apprentice for 4 years. And if you come in with that diploma or certificate or whatever the fuck it is, guess how much more money they're going to pay you as a first-year apprentice? 99 times out of 100, fucking nothing, okay? I went through this apprenticeship program with plenty of people that did this. We made the same exact amount of money. It does nothing.
My offer is this.
Like, see, it made it easier for me to get a job. It made it easier, I thought. I don't necessarily know, but I thought it made it easier for me, guys, when I say that I went to school and got my electrical diploma, so I knew the basics of electrical 1 and 2, and I got my electrician's diploma, which just says I went to school and got told some stuff in the book. But did it actually help me get the job? I don't know. They just knew I had something, so I take it as yes, but they might have looked at it as, we need a body, it don't matter if you know how to do it or not. Because you got to think, in 1997, whenever I was doing all this, I thought you had to know what you're doing to even be a helper. I didn't know they just hired anybody for a helper, and they do. They do it everywhere. You got 2 hands, can you swing a hammer? Can you hold a pair of pliers? Good, great, that's all we need. We need you to go pick up something from this truck, bring it over here on the job site. I mean, that's basically what it was, and I didn't know that.
Nothing.
And that is why it's kind of a scam, right? When you go to, I don't know, nursing school, you graduate nursing school, you're automatically allowed to go take the state exam and get your RN license. You can't do that with an electrician.
Exactly.
You go and you get their diploma that says you know what the fuck you're doing. Cool. You're still going to go be an apprentice for 4 years.
Yep.
And you paid for 2 years of schooling when your contractor would have paid for it for you. And that's if you're in one of the 3 states that allows that. Almost all the states still require you to go through the 800 hours of the apprenticeship classroom time. So you can literally go to college for 2 years, pay a bunch of money, get your little diploma. Congratulations, you're still sitting through 800 hours of classroom time for your apprenticeship. And anybody that says otherwise either A, fell for the scam and doesn't want to admit it, or B, they have some financial incentive, like they're an instructor at one of these schools and they want to keep their own gravy train running in so they don't have to go back and work in the field and they can sit in their nice office with air conditioning all day long.
Which I would admit, I mean, having air conditioning would be great out in the field, that's for damn sure. But I did like being in, see, like my last electrical job, that was one of my most favorite because every day I went to a different house. I never went to the same place twice unless it was to fix someone else's screw up. Other than that, I go there in the morning, I get the job done, and more than likely I would hit a second job before I got done for the day. But a lot of places like industrial work, you'll be on the same job site for a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. It all depends on how big the job is and what it is you're doing, but you're just going to the same place over and over and over and over. And I'm not the type of person that likes to do that. I like getting to go to different places, meeting new people, doing new things, and that's just the way I am. And residential work, like doing a house from start, I mean, on average, from about 2 months is your first stage. Then you come back, you got a second stage, and then you got the final stage where you're coming in and actually putting in the lights and the bulbs and the finishing touches once the house is done. But that might be a total of a 1.5 year span.
I'm going to say it again and slower so it really sinks in. Going to college to become an electrician is not necessary in any of the 50 states in the United States of America.
Exactly, it's not. But will it make it easier for you to get a job starting out? More than likely, I would think so. Do I know? No, because I never tried to get a job without going to school first. So that way, when I did go in the field, I knew. But I did not do a 2-year thing. I've never been able to do that because I can't afford to take that much time off of work and pay my bills and go. I just can't do all that. I can't.
America, and very, very rarely is it even beneficial. To put this into perspective, if we take two 18-year-old high school kids that just graduated, one of them chooses to go into a 2-year community college program
Wasted
to
his
be
time.
an electrician, and the other one just calls every contractor in town, asks for a job as a helper, and starts working the next day. What's going to end up happening is
That one guy's going to get hands-on experience off the bat and start making money. Now, he's not going to have any kind of edge on learning what to prepare for on the test or how to do any of the calculations you need to know.
that helper within 6 months to a year is going to be offered the opportunity to join the apprenticeship program, and he's going to start a year before the other guy.
Yeah, the only thing I have to say with that is I've worked at a few electrical places, and only a couple of them that I knew of had any kind of apprenticeship program for you to go to. The other ones, they didn't, but they would pay for your test if you were going to take the test.
Assuming everything goes well, he is then going to turn out, become a journeyman electrician a year before the other guy, make more money faster, and not have $12,000 of student debt to pay off.
Exactly. See, I could never have done that. Like, if you go the route I went, just remember, I did go to a community college, and it was like a 4 or 5 month thing. It was not a 2-year course. This was, I think I started in August, and it ended by like Christmas. Like, it was a 4 to 5 month thing for real. And every other week I was, because they brung in a notebook that had a list of companies on it. Those companies had signed up with the school I went to hire people that come to school. So I went through those companies and picked the one that was close to where I lived at, and that's who I ended up getting hired by. And for me, that was good because I got to go hands-on every other week. So it wasn't like every single day I had to just go get thrown out to the wolves. No, but I'd be there for a week, then I'd go sit in class for a week, then I'd go back in the field for a week, and then back to a class. And I liked it. I did. It was cool.
Because he got a 2-year diploma. Buh! But that guy with the 2-year diploma is more likely to get hired as an apprentice in the first place. Buh! Maybe, but also
No,
not really.
not
I know
really.
Contractors that actively avoid hiring people that go through these programs because these programs tell these kids, oh, as soon as you graduate our program, you're going to be hired as a journeyman electrician.
No.
And you're going to be making $35 an hour or $100,000 a year or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And it's not true. So then they show up to work, they have a bad attitude, and they already think they know everything.
Yes, that is 1,000% true. Is that they come in with the attitude of, I know everything in the book that I need to know. And it's like, dude, that is on paper. You can't make it work out here, and, or, may it be against code. All depends on what it is you're doing. But they do tend to think that just because it works out on paper, it's going to work out here. That's not how it works.
They actively avoid hiring these people for that reason. Because again, in reality, these programs count for nothing. You can graduate this program. Congratulations, great job. I hope you had fun. Hope it was worth it. You're still getting hired as a first-year apprentice, making first-year apprentice wages, period, end of story, 99 times out of 100. How do I know that?
Agree.
A, I'm a journeyman electrician. B, I was actually one of the guys in charge of hiring new apprentices, and I cannot tell you the number of times I have had kids come in that had some certificate or diploma from a college that thought that that made them a journeyman electrician. So when they come in and I tell them, no, you're not a journeyman electrician, you're not qualified to make $60 an hour and run your own job sites, they're extremely either disheartened or pissed off, and I don't blame them because they just spent 2 years of their life.
I'm going to tell you guys, I started out at $8 an hour in 1998 as an electrician's helper. That's what I was. But I never thought I was a journeyman electrician either.
Life and a bunch of money getting told they're going to have a job paying $60 an hour, and in reality they qualify for a job that pays them somewhere between $18 and $22 an hour as an entry-level apprentice. And in 47 out of the 50 states, you're still going to have to go to 800 hours of classroom training. Maybe you'll be relearning some stuff that you already learned at college, but that brings into question, why did you go off to college to learn it and pay money when you could have just learned it for free? Oh yeah, well, if you get that 2-year diploma.
Actually, you're not only learning it for free, you're getting paid to learn it because you're at work. So you're getting paid to learn it. Or he's talking about where the company pays for your apprenticeship. I got you. Never mind. My bad.
It can help you advance quicker and make more money down the line when you want to get promotions. But again,
no,
not
doesn't
true.
work that
That's
way.
some bullshit they tell you at these schools to get you to spend money on their program, okay? Having a journeyman electrician's license is like the pinnacle of being a journeyman. Everything below that doesn't matter once you have that, okay? Saying that you're going to get preferential treatment because you have a certificate or something from a community college while also having a journeyman electrician's license is like saying if they're hiring 2 ER trauma doctors, they're both board certified ER trauma doctors with experience, but one of them also took a CPR class and knows how to do CPR, so we're gonna hire that one and give him the promotion. Not true. They're both fucking trauma doctors. They both know how to do fucking CPR, okay? Nobody gives a shit. You think when some company's hiring a master mechanic to run their auto shop and they have 2 master mechanics with experience that are applying, but one of them has a fucking certificate from Jiffy Lube that says he knows how to change oil, you think that's gonna tip the scales in his favor? No, they're both master mechanics. They know how to change fucking oil. Buh! You're just one of those crazy anti-college people. Buh! No, I'm not. I've been to college. I have multiple college degrees. I'm not anti-college if it's something you need to go to college for. What I am anti is telling these kids that they're going to be making $70 an hour and they're going to be a qualified journeyman so that you can milk money out of them and waste their fucking time. That's what I'm against. Buh! Well, if you get...
And see, like, for instance, like, the main thing I was saying about what I took, and I knew it when I signed up and took the class, was that this was a workers' co-op class and that they had a list of companies that were tied in with the program, and if you happen to know someone or got hired on elsewhere, that's fine, but you're still going to have to come to class every other week. But the only thing I thought, like I said, I'm saying I thought, this is back 20 some years ago, is I thought me knowing at least a little something helped me get the job. But the first company to hire me, they were tied into the school program. So they wanted that. That's what they were looking for. They were looking for people that were taking the class I was taking. So that was my advantage with that. And then once I got the first job and knew what I was doing, it was easy as hell to get another job after that.
If you get your diploma first, you at least won't have to be the new guy and do all the shitty work. But
yeah, that is a fucking joke. I swear, that is a joke. If you're a helper, you're a helper. Period. And if you're like me and you're under 6 foot tall, you can get all the small crawl spaces, everything you want in the tight, hard spots to get to. Attic, you got it. Oh, yeah. You ain't getting no preferential treatment. I promise you, in electrical work, that is one thing that is spread around like crazy unless you are the electrician, then you can milk some of the day. But for the most part, everybody's getting some dirty work.
Look at me. Look at me. Bullshit. When you are the new guy, you will be the fucking new guy, okay? I don't care what diploma or certificate you have. You are gonna be the guy that's digging the ditches.
Yep.
You are gonna be the guy whose job it is to hold the flashlight and shut the fuck up for the...
And run the lightning rods in the ground. Yep, that's gonna be you. You will be damn screwing stuff to the outside of the house on top of a 20-foot ladder. Yep, that's gonna be you.
First couple years you were an apprentice electrician. That's just how this goes.
Left you a little gift in there. Not too hard, not too soft. Perfect.
And that's not even specific to being an electrician or the trades in general. That's pretty much every
Life.
career path on the planet. Go watch fucking Scrubs or Grey's Anatomy or any of these other medical shows. All the new doctors have to do the scut work. All the work that none of the more experienced doctors want to do. They have to go do it. Okay, this is every job on the planet. There is no school
It's kind of like paying your dues, man. Like, I had a kid get smart with me one day. He was my helper. And he had done something wrong. He had ran a wire a way that they did not want it. Our boss wanted it, a new one ran from the outside under the house. He was like, why I gotta go under the house? I'm like, bro, I was like, I've done it for 25 years. I've been under 100,000 houses, and the knee pads you're about to be using are my knee pads. Believe me, they didn't get worn in because my helpers were wearing them. They were mine. And then the boss jumped all in him and made him do it. He was like, no, it is your job to do it. Like, you're the helper, he's the electrician. So let him do it, and you go under the house. And that was
or
that.
college you can go to that's going to let you speed run being the new guy, so you might as well get over that right now. And for the love of God, if you went to one of these schools and got one of these diplomas or certificates, do yourself and everyone else a favor. Do not show up your first day of work thinking that any work is beneath you. Because
Exactly. That was exactly what I was just saying. Kid, you know, he had worked there like 3 months, and he's like, well, I got to do it. I mean, 1, you're the helper. 2, you've never done electrical work before this. And 3, everyone gets bad work to do, and being that I'm the mechanic and you're the helper, guess what? You get to do the dirty work. Why do I got to do all the technical stuff? And if anything goes wrong, I catch the blame, and I get to do the crappy work. I might as well be by myself.
Because at best, you're going to get bullied, and at worst, everybody's going to absolutely hate you.
And
you're going to
then
be teamed up with
you're gonna
some
get
old
fired.
journeyman that's been doing this for 30 years. He grew up in a house that didn't even have electricity.
I'm not that old, but now the guy that I worked for about 8 years, you could possibly say that, but that is how it was when I came in. When I stepped in 1998, I was 18 years old, and the guys that were doing it have been doing it for 30 years. And what he's saying is reminding me straight of them.
And when he became an electrician, it was literally going around town lighting the fucking light poles in his town, okay? He's been an electrician since electricity became mainstream. And he is going to walk you over to a control cabinet that's got 12,000 wire terminations in it, open it up, look at you and say, okay, college boy, fucking show me what's up.
Yeah,
and you're
show
gonna be
me
standing there like,
do it.
Fuck, I don't know anything.
You know what all those wires do?
Yeah, of course.
Pow.
Yellow, see? The sun is yellow, it heats the ground, that's how they do stuff. Is that car right?
And you know what? That's completely okay because you are a first-year apprentice. You just have to understand that you don't know anything so that you can learn. So hopefully by now you understand that if you want to be an electrician, you do not need to go to some college program for 2 years to get that diploma. So the next question is, how the fuck do you get into an apprenticeship? This is going to sound like some boomer back in my day bullshit, but it's literally what I did 10 years ago. If you decide you want to be an electrician, call every contractor in town, ask for a job as a helper, say you'd like to work your way into being an apprentice. You'll probably have a job by the end of today, if if not by the end of the week. And if you can show up on time, have a good attitude, and not be completely stupid, you will have a leg up in the hiring process when that apprenticeship slot opens up, because the company already knows you. They know you can show up on time. They know you work hard. They probably already like you. You're already one of the boys. In that situation, do you think your boss, when he's picking his next apprentice, is going to pick some dude that came from a community college that has expectations that he can't meet as an employer? Or do you think he's just going to give it to the guy that he already knows and trusts? He gives it to the guy he already knows and trusts. I'll give you the answer. The next question I get asked every single time, is this true for all other trade schools? I don't want to be an electrician. I want to be a welder or a plumber or whatever the fuck. An honest answer, I don't know. I'm not a journeyman in all other trades, so I can't tell you. My best piece of advice would be to get a hold of a journeyman that is in that trade and ask them. They'll give you a really good idea. How do you get a hold of one of these journeymen? Super simple. If you want to be a plumber, look up plumbing shops in your area, find the one that's got good reviews, call them and say, hey, I'm a senior in high school and I'm doing a high school project because I think I want to be a plumber. Would it be possible for me to interview one of your best journeymen or best foremen or best superintendents for 5 minutes so I could ask them some questions? They will almost guaranteed help you out, get you in contact with that person, and then you can have that conversation. It's that simple. Now, that being said, all the trades kind of work with each other. I've worked with plumbers, HVAC guys.
Yes, you do. This is going to probably be very true what he's about to say, but you do work with every other trade. And the reason I paused it is I just wanted to say one last thing. Guys, definitely, if you're looking to get a job doing any of the trades, get it, because they can't be replaced. Plumbing, you can't get a robot to do that. Electrical work, never going to happen. You can't do it. It's not something you can manufacture with a robot. I mean, HVAC can't be done with a robot. So there's certain jobs that are always going to be a need for. An electrical one is 100% always going to be needed.
Guys, welders, I've worked around and with everybody. Generally speaking,
I've got
from
my
what
welding
I've gathered
also.
from what I've heard, again, not gospel, just what I've heard from other people. Heating and cooling and HVAC are both great. You should probably go to college for them. I've heard that those programs can help you a ton. Same thing goes for automotive. Same thing goes for like tool and die and machining. Welding and plumbing, it's kind of what you want to do because those are very broad career paths. If you want to be...
I went to school for welding and I got my MIG welding certificate. You still got to take a test to get the jobs, like the physical welding test. You have to weld a vertical weld. You got to do a horizontal weld. You got to do, I want to say, a circular weld, where like a pipe. But HVAC, I've seen thousands of HVAC guys. None of them ever went to school. None. Like, because you're pulling flex under houses, you're running a copper pipe, and then you're going to be setting the AC units. I mean, that for the most part in the gist is it. I didn't know any that went to school for it, but there very well could be.
Want to be like a residential plumber that's going and doing water lines and putting toilets in houses, school can help you with that. If you want to be a welder like in a factory on an assembly line, welding school can absolutely help you with that. But if you want to be the plumber, welder, pipe fitter dude that's making like $1,000 per diem and $150 an hour because he's got the special skills to do these high pressure welds and all this other crazy shit,
different.
The schools are not really going to help you with that. And I know this because my best friend, the best man in my wedding, is that guy. He is the one that gets paid a bunch of money per diem and gets paid a ton of money per hour and has to travel to go do specialty welds that only he's certified to do, and not many people can do what he does.
The
and
specialty
he went to one of
welds.
these fancy welding schools right out of high school. He went to, I believe it's considered one of the top 2 welding schools in the entire country on the other side of the country from where he lived. He moved out there for 2 years, spent 40, 50 grand to go to this school, and he was told he was going to be hot shit. He was going to get a job paying $50 to $70 an hour right out of the gate. Came back home. The only people that would hire him were willing to pay him $18 an hour to do welds on a factory line. He worked that job for a couple of years, and then he decided he was going to apply to be an apprentice with the plumbing union so that he could get his journeyman's license. And guess what? He got hired as a first-year apprentice. Guess how much money he made? First-year apprentice pay, the same exact amount of money that people with literally no experience that just got out of high school were also making. He said that there was absolutely nothing he learned at this tech school that was not covered by his apprenticeship over the course of that 4 years, and if he could go back and do it all over again, he would have just joined the apprenticeship right out of high school, saved himself $40,000, $50,000 and 4 years of his time. But that's anecdotal evidence. I am not a journeyman welder or pipe fitter or plumber. I would double check with somebody that is. Now, the next question you're going to ask, because this also gets very confusing, is should I be union or non-union electrician?
I'll say non-union, but I've never worked for a union. I don't get the whole union crap. I don't. I think it's a rig, a scam, but I don't know. He'll tell you his point.
Transparency, I was a union electrician my entire career. Why did I end up going that route? Very simply because they were the first company that hired me and they happened to be union. And this is going to piss off everybody because people have very, very strong opinions about whether or not you should or shouldn't be union. Whatever, you can have those opinions. I'm speaking to the 18-year-old kid that doesn't know anything. Deciding that right now is not like a life-altering fate decision, okay? I've met people that started in the non-union apprenticeship, got mad at their contractor, quit, and then joined the union apprenticeship and went on to become union journeymen. I know people that have flunked out of the union apprenticeship program, not because they were stupid or dumb or couldn't hack it, but because they had some own personal life issues going on and they ended up losing their job in the union. They went to a non-union shop, continued their apprenticeship.
Right. Basically, get a job wherever you want to get it. Whatever hires you first, take it. If you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. Could be, there's... in North Carolina, I don't know how many union jobs there are. That's where I'm at. I don't know of that many union jobs in North Carolina. But up north, the union is bigger, and he's from Iowa, so yeah.
And they became a non-union journeyman. I've met shitty union electricians that I wouldn't trust to wire my house, and I've met union electricians that I've seen frequently have to correct electrical engineers, and they're absolutely brilliant, and I can say the same exact thing about non-union
It's
shops.
all the same.
Being union or non-union is not going to be the determining factor on whether or not you're going to be a good electrician. You are that determining factor.
You talking to me?
Oh, and before I get to say it, one little secret. One reason why a lot of Hispanics are not taking over the electrical jobs is because the code book is only in English. They do not make a Spanish or any other language for the electrical code book. That is the only reason why you don't see. I've seen like one Hispanic electrical company, and dude, we had to go back and refix all of their stuff, all of it. It wasn't good.
You talking to me?
But they're coming from a
The only
country.
caveat I'll throw in is if you join the union apprenticeship with a union contractor, it's going to be squared away. You're going to have a very clear path of how to get your journeyman's license, and you will have the same exact thing with, I hope, the majority and the significant amount of non-union shops. However, because non-union shops are less regulated, there is the potential for some contractors to be shitty and not get you the right training with the state accredited program in a timely fashion. So if you're going non-union, which is completely fine, just make sure it's with a good non-union contractor that's going to get you going to the actual state accredited apprenticeship classes. Again, full transparency, I didn't want to make this video. It's not my normal jam. It's not some funny internet business, and it's not some history with a war hero or whatever. That's usually what I do here on YouTube. But I did want to answer these kids' questions. So originally, I just made a social media post over on X or Twitter or whatever the fuck you want to call it, explaining this, and the amount of backlash I got from people that have no idea what the fuck they're talking about was insane. So we're just going to go over and read some of the tweets, and we'll actually see how correct they are. Again, just for context, my tweet essentially said that trade schools to become an electrician are essentially a scam because they're not required in any of the 50 states, and you can just get paid while you learn and have your contractor pay for your actual in-classroom experience, and you should just attempt to do that instead. And here are some of the comments that I received. Quote, fuck basic training, let's just grab a rifle and head off to war. No!
What the fuck? Really? Okay.
Oh, fuckhead. The apprenticeship is the basic training. Do you understand that? Going to a tech school for 2 years before entering your apprenticeship is akin to going to a community college for 2 years to get a certificate or diploma in being a soldier before you ship off to basic training. It's fucking dumb and unneeded. From Anonymous, buddy, it's not about what you learn. If two people apply for a job and one can show a degree and the other can't, guess who gets the job? You live in...
This guy is so wrong on this. Just because you think you know it on paper, that right there is the exact arrogance that he's talking about that people are tired of, and they deliberately do not hire them for having a 2-year degree because you come in thinking you know everything, but you have yet to put your hands on a pair of pliers and physically do the work.
live in a country where people are showing college degrees to flip burgers at fucking McDonald's. Saying it's not about what you learn in reference to going to college to get an education is the dumbest fucking thing I have ever heard in my entire life. And this attitude of, it doesn't matter if I learn anything as long as I've got a piece of paper that says I know something, is the reason that nobody gives a fuck about college degrees in the trades in the first place. Congratulations, you're part of the problem.
Yep.
I'm an idiot!
Like, honestly, guys, to let me know what you think about this. I think that if you're an electrician, a plumber, if you're doing a trade that 90% of the country don't have the single iota on how to do it, why are we not getting paid more money? You got people shooting basketball, which most kids do from the ages 7 through high school. Everyone can shoot a basketball. Yeah, we may not be as great or as tall, whatever, but the things that make the world go around, like electricity, plumbing, things like that, oh, we just throw them $10 an hour. I think that's bullcrap. Yeah, I remember I had people at Walmart making like $14 an hour. Meanwhile, I'm making $9.50, and I'm like, what the fuck? It was the biggest. That is probably the one time I would have to say, I was like, man, I went to school and I've been busting my ass out in the construction field to do something that most people can't. It's one of the most deadly jobs in the world. And yet, I could get paid more standing in air conditioning at Walmart.
You're an idiot!
The problem with going down this path is a lot of people can't afford to do an unpaid apprenticeship. It's not an unpaid apprenticeship. There is no such thing as an unpaid trades apprenticeship.
No.
It doesn't fucking exist. It might have back in the fucking 1800s, but it doesn't right now, okay? I can't speak for every local or every sector of the country, but in Iowa, if you were a first-year apprentice in a smaller town that's the lower paid, our first-year apprentices are making like, I believe, $20 an hour day one with full health care coverage and retirement benefits. It's not an unpaid apprenticeship. And then every year of the 4-year apprenticeship that you complete, you get a raise. And then once you get your journeyman's license, you get a big raise and you're making like $60 an hour. Quote, or hear me out, you attend and graduate your chosen trade and then enter at top position with top pay. What a dumbass take. No, fuck stick. That's not how that works. You are not going to graduate from a community college and get a journeyman's license and get top pay or anything else.
Oh my God. Why would anyone get top pay if they haven't done the work yet? They've never done the work. They're just starting out. You're going to give them top pay? Are you out of your fucking mind?
You are qualified to be a first-year apprentice, and that's fucking it. You will get paid first apprenticeship wages just like everybody else that has no experience whatsoever. Shut up. This is why I'm making this video, because people that know absolutely fucking nothing about this have extremely strong opinions because they've been just some type of school. They're not going to make a bunch of money. It's not true. It's complete fucking bullshit. And tech schools are sued and go bankrupt and go out of business all the fucking time because they always get in trouble for fraud because they tell these kids, come here, get our certificate. You're going to be qualified to make $100,000 a year. And it very rarely, if ever, fucking happens. I have no reason to lie to you about this, okay? I volunteered to be on the hiring committee for my union because I like helping kids. I loved training apprentices. I would go back to doing it in a heartbeat if this YouTube thing dries up. So again, just so we're on the same page, trade school, tech school, some program at a community college that gives you a certificate or a diploma to be an electrician is not required in any state in the United States of America. And
all right, guys, that's basically the end of the video. Please go check out the Fat Electrician if you haven't checked him out already. Guys, let me know what you thought about the video. I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all probably won't watch it. But anyhow, guys, I will see you on the next one.